Hello there, and welcome to episode 9 of my tutorial series for Rimworld Biotech. So, we have survived most of the winter in the last couple of episodes, and for today, my thing that I want to see through here is going for our first caravans. Because it is about time to trade, and we got somebody in the vicinity who's worth to trade with. We're not going to trade while winter is still lasting because of a very, very simple reason. When we form a caravan, you get into the world button, press that one, right click where you want to go, and here we have an estimated travel time of 1.8 days. The thing is, right now there's winter, and winter always makes the travel time go higher. I wanted to show you that because we're going to compare that in a few minutes to the springtime weather, and then we're going to see why you're not going to travel too much during winter ideally. Between that, there's of course a couple of good things that we can still do. I think since we want to do a caravan, it is a very, very good time to go for trading. And while checking the wildlife tab, I found a warg. These dudes are really bad news. Right now, he's sitting a little bit off grid, but, well, basically I'm only waiting for him to leave his island and wreak havoc upon us, so as soon as he's going somewhere, here we go. And now we're going to pick up our hunters and take care of that problem immediately. Especially during winter times, wargs are extremely dangerous hunters. And this guy is already up to something, I tells you. That raccoon, I think its days are over. No? Oh well. Either way, it's one of those predators you never should go leave unchecked, especially not during winter. And here we're using the same protocol. 2 people shooting, Benjamin taking the aggro of the beast. And that's a very, very easy way of taking care of that. No guns required, recurve bows are enough. So, there we go. So there. This will save us from random attacks from this dude. And it's really, really worth taking that time. I'm hunting some more stuff here still, because when we want to go trading, it's a very, very good time to craft some more stuff during the winter time. Because, you know, this way we have more trade goods for sale. We could trade away those leathers raw as they are, of course, but as a matter of fact, we'd gain much less for that. I also want to reinstall the science table now outside of the sleeping room, because I really only did that because I didn't have a different option for that. People sleeping in their room, they like to be left alone, and therefore it's really better to have no work table there. Otherwise a researcher might go in there and research while the dude's sleeping, and that's a slight mood penalty, which you can easily avoid. Alright, so we got air conditioning. The next step that I want to take is solar panel technology, and then we're truly self-sustainable when it comes down to power, and then we're going to research towards guns, because that's, in my opinion, one of the most powerful techs to tackle next. It's going to be smithing over to this one, but more about that once it's time for it. Gray has an inspired recruitment, which would be awesome if we'd had any prisoner which we'd like to recruit. Spoiler, we don't have anybody. So basically, if we'd get raided now, and somebody would be a good target, we could go for that. Also, I wanted to tell everybody that we got our preferred victory scenario. The first comment has come in, first come, first served, and it's going to be a royalty playthrough here. By the way, I have disabled now here gathering spots on those tables. This way, or people will always go for their food here. Same thing there, they don't respect their privacy. Everybody would go for a meal, even if Vunas would be sleeping in there. And oh, wait a sec, that doesn't disable that. This only disables that they party at that spot. So if you want to avoid pissed off people because of that, time to remove the tables entirely. I do install tables into bedrooms sometimes for the sake of fluff, but most of the time actually to provide something until I have a recreational room. You can do that as you see fit for yourself. Okay, so another thing that we're going to take care of today is cooling of our food, because we have now researched air conditioning. While electricity opens you heating right away, you need this technology to have access to coolers. Oh, we have a masterwork. A masterwork jacket. Nice. So, masterwork crafts. Give me a sec. So, we're going to talk about the masterwork craft in a sec, because that's just worth mentioning. First off, though, let's complete what we started here. So, coolers. I'm going to install overwall coolers. These are only available if you have replace stuff enabled. Overwall coolers are sitting on top of the wall. Here, we have a regular vent versus a overwall vent. What this means is pretty simple. This one, if somebody bashes the vent, there's a hole in the wall. If you use a overwall vent, if they destroy the overwall vent, there's still a wall beneath, and that's why they are amazing. Same goes for the coolers. Yeah, this is modded content, but I wanted to properly pinpoint that. So we're installing 2 coolers in here. I would always recommend at least 2 of them, because of the simple reason that this way you always will be ready even for a heat wave or anything like that, even if you are living in a rather cold biome. 2 heaters are really worth the price. So as soon as installed, we put the target temperature to -9 degrees. Don't forget to do that for the second one as well. We're lacking components though, so we cannot do that right away. Let's check out where we can find components. That's here. And also, it seems as if winter is over by now. Vunas is sowing out new potatoes. That's usually a sign that you're done with winter for this year. Alrighty. That's a good sign. Our miner is going to chop out things. And if things are looking like that, your colony is at a healthy spot. You give an order to do something new, and it basically gets immediately done, then you're well off. All right, the potatoes are still dying because of the cold. At this point, it would be more efficient to just select all your fields and forbid the sowing, because the potatoes will now all die. But I allow that, because it trains Vuna's plant skill. She has a bad bias for plants. You see the red color on her bar. That's because of her genome, actually. She's an impet, and impets have a naturally born bad plant aptitude. So she has to learn more than other people for that. But at the same time, she's passionate about that, and I haven't even explained that. Oh, shame on me. So, well, those flames, they depict how fast somebody learns something. Double flames means they learn super fast, but it also means that they love what they do. So basically, they learn that stuff super fast, and they love doing it while they're doing it. So you totally win on every front there. So where did that Masterwork jacket go? So Masterworks are, first off, super valuable. You see there, the quality alone gives a 250% extra on the price. And also, every stat on this armor is massively increased, you see. 45% more armor on all fronts. 50% more insulation. This is really valuable. This is really, really good stuff. And Masterwork items are absolutely brilliant when they happen. That's the reason why nobody else here in the colony is allowed to do crafting except for Gray, because this way we funnel all the experience into one crafter and have the highest chances of really amazing results. That's the reasoning behind that. Also pretty important at this point is that we're going to put in some proper tiles in here and make sure that our dudes have some nice environment to work with. Alright, we're getting there. So let's see if the traveling time has already reduced. 1.2 days, as you see there. This is where we're going to travel. So first off, we accept the route, and then we're going to check on out who's going to do that. So I always would recommend you to bring a person with a high social rating, so we're going to bring Gray. Gray, though, is non-violent, so we really need to bring somebody along the road who can fight for and with Gray. So I'm going to pick up Vunas, because I know she's a fast runner, and that's a good combo. We got also 2 horses, and we're going to pick them up and check out the movement speed. And while picking up horses, we'd grow massively faster. Our travel time has reduced also. Horses are really, really valuable. So we got also, with the horses, an extra carrying capacity. You see, this up here is the current mass of your caravan and the maximum mass. This is your speed, this is how much food we got, how much food we forage along the way, which is actually quite high because Lunas is pretty good with plants, so she's collecting food on the way. Anyways, this is all we're going to do. Let's go on over into the items tab. The absolute nightmare. No, not really. It's just everything your colony basically owns right now. So we're going to pick on up all the excess clothing, because really we don't need it this for this season anymore. The winter is over. All that stuff which is lying around here is clearly not necessary for now. We're going to sell it all away because we want something special in turn. So I'm going to pick up nothing else. Always make sure that your travel supplies are well balanced. I highly recommend to uncheck this check mark here, so you can configure for yourself what kind of food your people will bring. Our colony is stacked up with pemmican, so we have lots of caravan food. And then all that's left to do is press send. So here's a warning reminding you that you gotta have enough food on your caravan. And now they roped the horses on there, and the next thing they do is they pick up all the stuff that they want to bring into the caravan. They loaded that on top of the horses. You see that horse now carries all the items that we put on there, and then they leave the map off to Colhurst. And now you have your caravan on the map. Hooray! So there's one cool thing to note. If we get attacked now here on this tile, the attack will be weaker, because when an attack happens, the storyteller always checks only what's on the map currently. Your caravan doesn't matter. This way, you can rest assured whatever is attacking you is balanced for the power of the remaining people in the colony. You don't need to worry about being underpowered if an attack happens. That's not gonna happen. The game ain't balanced like that. So now they're resting for the remainder of the night. Caravans always start resting during the night. You can see here the same stats, and their movement speed is now insanely high. We had 24 before they started. That comes because of the road. The road they're traveling on is making them faster. So traveling on mountains, by the way, is much slower, and traveling through stuff like swamps is super slow. So the game takes into account where you're traveling along. And now the caravan arrived at Cohurst. If we'd be doing our thing here, we'd be also getting that reminder this way. So jump to location, and now press the trade button. By all means, be aware of the fact that if you ever press the attack button, there is no second prompting behind that. You immediately go hostile with these people. I just wanted to tell you. There's, oddly enough, no "are you sure you want that" button right next to the trade button, so I informed you. We're going to trade now. So we already know how the trader screen works. The settlement over there is just much more stacked than the average trader, so they have much more money, and they have many, many good items. First off, we're going to checkmark all the stuff that we have brought with us. Clothing is always down there, and I want to see how much money I have to begin with. So here, 1,411 bucks we got to spend here. So the first thing that I always like to check in these moments is, do they have guns? Sadly, they have only an auto pistol, which is among the weakest guns, but honestly it's already much better than the recurve bow we got, so it's fine. The other thing they're offering here is a monosword, which is an amazing high-tech, powerful, super awesome weapon. We were not going to afford that. The plasteel axe, though, is a pretty sick one, too. Plasteel is also as you might have already guessed, a pretty high-tech material. So the material matters a lot in this game. Material and quality do matter a ton. So, auto pistol, we bought that. Beyond that, our colony doesn't need too many things, but there's medicine in town. That's something we're going to stack up here as well, because seriously, if your colony doesn't have the blue medicine, your colony needs the blue medicine. Believe me when I say it like that. There's always nice to have items like advanced components lying around, but my motto with the advanced components is I don't necessarily stockpile them unneededly until I really need them, because they can only get damaged, And I'm so far away of needing these that it'd be not much of a smart investment. We are able to pick up some animals here, so we're going to pick up sheep. And, well, I cannot afford the goats, but whatever. We're going to pick up the sheep. That's pretty cool. Alright, so we're going to take that trade. The remaining money will be paid out in full to us. And, well, as much as I'd like to pick up the steel and the plasteel axe, or more fancy items like the psychic shock lances, and, or we could even get ourselves a telescope for home, there's lots of stuff we can buy here. Don't worry, we're going to get back to that one day soon. For now, we accept that trade. We gain even some goodwill, because these people love when we trade. And then right-click and send them back home. They actually will only need 0.3 days to come back home. That's also because they are carrying much less now. The more they carry, the more the slower they grow. So here we see now Rolly and Benjamin sciencing it out. When you're playing a tribal background, it's extremely worth picking up a second researcher as soon as possible, because of the fact that you literally pay double for every tech. So it's pretty okay to have double the amount of researchers as well, I'd say. Alright, so our caravan came back, and that's the basics of trade caravaneering already. So what's really important, though, is always bring people who are capable to fight. It's extremely important that you take into account that you can't get attacked while caravaneering. You will get attacked eventually while caravaneering, so you have to be ready for that. But the very good news, we got ourselves our first gun. That's extremely good news. So, let's check it out. Benjamin is not much of a good shot, but he is capable of shooting. I personally am a big fan of staffing out my people with ranged weapons a little bit more frequently than melee weapons. Usually my distribution is like 80% people get ranged weapons and 20% get melee setups. That's because melee fighters require much more specialization to be really, really effective, or at least comparably effective to a shooter. Due to the fact that you can kite in this game like a madman, I mean, you already saw what I pulled off there, you really don't need melee fighters early on. You will need them later on, though. You will not make a future without that, because of situations where there's just so much opposition that you cannot kite them anymore, or the enemy is just too fast, or the melee enemies are backed up with ranged enemies that keep shooting at your runner and eventually will down him. Situations like that. But early on, you don't need that. You really, really don't need that early on. So I've also came up with a plan for the anima tree, in case you're wondering when I'm going to pick up that topic. So we're going to go for some truly megalomaniac plans for that, by the way. I've came up with that. The thing is, your people need to spend a lot of me time right next to that anima tree. And those mining tunnels I'm caving out here don't make much sense right now, but I'll promise they will. So what my plan is to provide myself safety around the anima tree. And when you click the anima tree, you see that red border. Around inside this red border, there is no building allowed, no walls allowed, no furniture, nothing. So my plan is to wall this area off. One wall here, one wall there, and another wall here. Now, if we do this though, there's one problem. Enemies coming from this angle would be running here into a wall and then bashing through the wall in every instance. That's why we're caving out a tunnel here, so the enemy arriving here will then flow around there. And same thing applies here. If they'd come there, they'd be immediately waltzing into my base, so not a good idea at all. So we're going to bring up another tunnel here. That's how it works ideally. The average raid will always seek the entrance of your base, which is not blocked by anything. And it doesn't matter where they start. They start at this corner or that corner. They'll now always look on how to get into this corridor. There are exceptions though. Some raids come with a special configuration, so-called sapper and breach raiders. They want to break walls. They are a completely different topic. You have to fight against these differently. For example, that's a reason why I have all these traps inside here. But more about that when it's time for that as well. Right now, these tunnels are the necessary preparation to make myself a cozy, safe place around the anima tree. Because your dudes will meditate so many hours right next to that thing, it bothers me a ton to be not sure about their safety. And as you see here, there's the next work in town. When you're playing in a boreal forest environment, really keep regular tabs on the wildlife. There are just too dangerous critters around there. You can't leave them unchecked. Usually I run different mods that make it easier. First and foremostly a mini map mod, which marks those guys on the map for me. But if you don't want to go like that, you'll have to go for this. There's a tool for that as well. So in case you ever have any interest in me showcasing any mods in this series, please ask away. But only quality of life. No content mods in this series. Promise. So we have now that work, and well, we're drafting our hunting party now. So usual rules of engagement apply, but this time we have our first pistoliero, you know. So let's use that. I'm starting with Benjamin because he's the worst shooter of the bunch, and I really want him to train. Auto pistols are really good weapons for bad shooters because they have a very high frequency of fire. And in Rimworld, every shot fired gives you experience. So basically, if your person is a bad learner, give them a quick firing gun. This way they learn fastest. So really important to put everybody in position though. There we go. So now it's going to go. Party's going to start now. So here. Keeping Gray really nice and close to the warg. If ever the aggro switches, you just have to move the other people there. So takes a bit of practice, but even if you fail while doing this distribution, until you fail, you already profit. So don't worry if it doesn't work on out as you wanted in the first place. Basically every shot you get off without the wolf gnawing on your face is already profit, you know. I know that when I started out with these strategies, I was very insecure about doing it right or anything like that. That's why I'm emphasizing that. There we go. So our colony is now back on track. We have even uncovered a little spatch of compacted machinery while doing ore tunneling, and I can strongly emphasize or recommend you to do these crazy terraforming projects. They are the real fun of Rimworld, like taking info, or for me at least, like shaping the map like I see fit. All right, so the next thing that we got to pay attention to is we want to have somebody on plants level 8. As soon as that's the case, oh yeah, here we go. As soon as that's the case, we're looking out for our fertile soil here, and we're going to patch up a new growing zone. So as you see here, I'm expanding the growing zone this way by dragging and dropping from inside the box. And Vunas is a little bit over ambitious there. I want heal root here. So we're growing now our own little amount of heal root. I could make that feel easily larger if necessary, but for now we're going to start on like that. Heal root is a wonderful plant. Or, you know what, we're just going to do this like that. Healroot is a wonderful plant because it's just useful in two ways. With Healroot, you not only can heal your people, it's cheap, available, it's a cheap and solid medical resource. No, it also brings you a tradable resource. Healroot is being bought by most traders and not even at the worst pricing, so it's really amazing. I love that stuff. I love to plant it out whenever I can. I'm also assigning Healroot here into the freezer because Healroot is actually, oh sorry, medical herbs it's called. Herbal medicine, never mind. Herbal medicine is the product. I'm putting that into the freezer because it actually also can go bad. And that's why we're doing this. And check out what's happening here. The animal feeder, basically. So all the small game, all this local small game is now being tracked by the pemmican. So we're literally attracting all the local rats here. But that doesn't matter, you know. This way you can just hunt whatever is there. That's happening because it's the end of the winter. By the end of the winter, the biome is pretty plucked empty, and all the local animals are hungry, and therefore they come out and try to eat whatever is available, and therefore they try to eat from the yummy pemmican that's lying around in the local pen. So if this bothers you, you need to put these shelves inside somewhere, but you can also do it as I do here and use it as a cheap way of producing even more pemmican. I'll leave that up to you. It's those funny little interactions with the outside world what I do love Rimworld for. I mean, the coolest part right now is that or people don't even have to travel far for their hunting fun, you know. They don't even need to run around the map. You even could be extra perfidious and now close the doors so they cannot escape while being shot at. But, you know, I'll say it again. I'll leave that up to you. So Benjamin is at this point a horrible shot. But I promise, 2 or 3 episodes later, he'll be... You won't recognize his abilities anymore, you know. So... By the way, Arctic foxes are nothing that I'm hunting because they're literally harmless. They only hunt small game, and you don't need to attack them. This is only true, though, if you don't have any small animals that roam around the map, like parts of your colony, you know. Sometimes you have those little critters that get to roam around freely. For example, my guinea pig is highly endangered by this Arctic fox, but I don't care about that. Alright, so we got the caravaneering down in this episode, and we got the new year down. So, a last thing that I want to mention that I missed to mention, when you have traded with those people, you have also started a restock timer. This, whenever you do the first trade with them, After 30 days, default settings, they'll restock their items. Then it takes again your next visit, and then the clock starts again. They don't restock every 30 days. They only restock 30 days after your last visit. Strange, but it works like that. Rimworld rules. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this one. I think Caravaneering will see some more coverage in the future. This is only basic Caravaneering because we're not raiding anything and we're not doing anything else, but we should really be raiding at some point in the near future now that we have access to guns. And yeah, lots of cool things happening in the future, promise. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask away. And feel free to leave a thumbs up on that video if you want to make the algorithm happy and let people know that you enjoyed that one. Also, there is a subscription model down there. Well, blah. YouTube subscriptions, you know the way. Daily content from my side, and there's also a playlist link down there if you want to check out the entire thing without looking for the next episode. And that's all I wanted to say today. Next time we're going to go a little bit deeper into what we can do with all that animal stuff. And, well, I don't know. I'll think about something. How to survive your first cold snap, for example. See you guys there, and have a wonderful day.